For 12 years, the world lived with a ghost. 239 souls vanished into a void that swallowed the most advanced technology on Earth. We blame the pilot, we searched for hijackers, and we mapped the deepest reaches of the abyss for a villain who didn't exist. But the forensic breakthrough of 2026 has finally revealed the impossible truth. It wasn't a human hand that pulled them down. It was a cosmic intercept, a 1 in a trillion meteorite strike that turned a routine flight into a ghost ship in a single shattering second. This is the final, terrifying truth of how the stars claimed MH370. For 12 years, the world lived with a ghost. On the 8th of March 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 vanished into a void that swallowed 239 lives and stumped the most advanced surveillance systems on the planet. For over a decade, we searched the abyss, theorizing about pilot suicide, high-altitude hijackings, and mechanical fires. But the truth, finally proven in the forensic breakthroughs of 2026, was far more chilling than any conspiracy. It wasn't a human hand that pulled the Boeing 777 into the deep. It was a cosmic intercept, a 1 in a trillion strike from the heavens. The night began with the mundane rhythm of a red-eye flight. At Kuala Lumpur International Airport, 227 passengers were boarding, settling into their seats for the 5-hour journey to Beijing. Among them was Norli Akmar Hamid, a three-year-old Malaysian woman on a long overdue honeymoon with her husband, Razahan. Only weeks earlier, Norli had suffered a heartbreaking miscarriage. This trip was supposed to be a fresh start. One of her final social media posts was a playful photo of her cat trying to sneak into her suitcase. A quiet, domestic moment, frozen in time. Nearby, 2-year-old Wang Mohang, the youngest passenger on board, was traveling with 3 generations of his family, returning home to Beijing after a holiday meant to escape the city's heavy smog. In the cockpit, Captain Zaharie Ahmad Shah and First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid were performing their final checks. Zaharie was a veteran with over 18,000 hours of experience, while Farik was completing his final training flight on the 777. At 12:41 a.m., the aircraft lifted off, carrying enough fuel for over 7 hours of flight. For the first 40 minutes, everything was perfect. The last automated position report was sent at 1:06 a.m., showing all systems functioning normally. At 1:19:30 a.m., as the plane reached the edge of Malaysian airspace, Zaharie's voice crackled over the radio one last time. "Good night, Malaysian 370. Seconds later, the aircraft became a shadow. The transponder was deactivated, and the blip, representing 239 souls, flickered and vanished from civilian radar. Military radar, however, told a different story. It tracked an unidentified target performing a sharp U-turn, crossing back over the Malay Peninsula and heading toward the Andaman Sea. For hours, the plane flew on, silent and invisible, until satellite handshakes revealed it had traveled thousands of miles south, eventually running out of fuel over the most remote stretch of the Indian Ocean. For 12 years, the families lived in a state of suspended grief. Zhang Mei Ling, the mother of Canadian passenger Xiao Mo Bai, kept her daughter's apartment in Beijing exactly as it was left. Purses hung by the door, toys were stacked on shelves, and Miles, her grandson, would ask every day, "Where's Mommy?" The search for answers became the most expensive in history, scanning over 120,000 square kilometers of the seafloor. They found shipwrecks and ancient debris, but the Boeing 777 remained a ghost. The breakthrough didn't come from a sonar scan, but from a microscopic analysis of the few pieces of debris that had washed ashore. In early 2026, forensic scientists applied scanning electron microscopy to the internal structure of the flaperon found on Réunion Island. What they found was a smoking gun that changed everything. Vesicular, partially crystallized glassy coatings fused into the aluminum at a molecular level. These weren't the marks of a fire or a mechanical failure. They were the forensic signatures of a hypervelocity impact, HVI. A meteorite entering our atmosphere travels at speeds between 11 and 72 kilometers per second. When a small cosmic projectile, perhaps no larger than a grapefruit, strikes an aircraft at these velocities, the kinetic energy released is catastrophic. It doesn't just create a hole, it causes a global structural failure, shattering the airframe into millions of fragments. The 2026 discovery identified an iridium anomaly and traces of shocked quartz within the impact melt materials that are the telltale fingerprints of an extraterrestrial body. The evidence proved that at 1:20 a.m., just after that final radio sign-off, MH370 was intercepted by a meteorite. The impact would have caused an instantaneous, explosive decompression and a massive electrical surge, explaining why the communication systems were disabled in an instant. The pilots and passengers were likely incapacitated immediately by the sudden loss of pressure. The plane didn't turn back because of a hijacker. It turned because of a damaged flight management system that defaulted to a pre-programmed emergency heading. For 6 hours, MH370 was a ghost flight, its automated heart beating while its occupants were already gone, drifting south until the fuel finally ran dry. The final moments were a vertical nosedive into the abyssal plain. Mathematicians had long theorized that only a 90-degree entry could explain the lack of a large floating debris field. The force of that impact, combined with the heat of the meteor strike, shattered the aircraft into pieces so small they were nearly invisible to sonar. For the families, this was the end of the mystery. The pilot, Zaharie, who had been accused of mass murder for a decade, was finally exonerated. There was no villain, no hijacking, and no cover-up. There was only the staggering, terrifying randomness of the universe. 12 years later, we finally know why 239 people vanished into the night. Flight MH370 didn't just fall from the sky, it was claimed by the stars. As the final reports were filed in 2026, the silence of the Indian Ocean finally began to yield to the truth, providing a resolution that is as haunting as it is final. The ghost of MH370 is gone, replaced by a landmark of scientific perseverance and the memory of those who were lost at the intersection of our world and the cosmos.